show respect to her. I was probably the worst agent that you have ever heard of when I started in this business. I've been a music teacher and I love teaching my kids in public school music. And Richard kind of shoved me into real estate because I couldn't make any money teaching in the public schools. And so I went almost 8 months without any transactions. It was in 1974, and the training wasn't real good back then. And I just was frustrated. So I'd cry at night, and I'd be frustrated, and I'd go to the real estate office, and I was just frustrated. And all of you know that a prayer life is important to me, so I talk to God kind of like I talk to all of you. And I prayed a prayer, and I said, I'm just so frustrated, I don't know what to do. I cry every night, my family's sick of me, I cannot seem to get this business going, and I just don't think I'm in your will. And I heard a story in the Old Testament about somebody putting out a fleece, and if it was wet, he was going to do one thing, and if it was dry, he would do the other. And I think his name was Gideon. Am I right? Yes. Anybody in here? Was it Gideon? Okay, so I said, I'm ashamed to admit this. I said, here's the deal. It's a wonder I wasn't struck with lightning. Well, I was years later. I said, here's the deal. I want 3 valid transactions during the month of August, or I am out of here. I'm going to get my master's and go back into teaching. So that was probably the first week of August of 1974. I think, yeah, 74. And so the next day, I enrolled in graduate school, oh me of little faith. And on the 27th day of August, the only listing I had sold. And that really made hope rise up in my heart, because I didn't want to fail. I'd never failed at anything, even though I grew up in poverty. I just started having a little bit of hope. Hope is a wonderful thing for people who are struggling. And then the next day, the 28th day of August, I had somebody refer me a little brand new first-time buyer couple, and I showed them property, had them on contract by 3 o'clock that afternoon. Now I had 2. And talk about hope, it just began to swell in my heart and in my soul. Well, the 29th of August, nothing happened. The 30th of August, nothing happened. The 31st of August, the last day of August, I woke up really mad at God. And I said, I don't get it. You gave me 2. 2 is close to 3. Why didn't you give me 0 or 1 instead of 2? It's like you're tormenting me. Lightning did not strike. And so I did what a lot of women do. Not every woman, but women like me. I put on my blue jeans and I vacuumed. And that releases the, tension when you vacuum. And then about 10 o'clock on a Saturday morning, my office called and said, please go show a property in your subdivision because the listing agent was gone and her assistant, they couldn't find her. So I go over and show the house, and I can tell it's not the right home. And I say, let me show you one 2 blocks away that was discussed in our team meeting. I take them to that house, they go in, and the magic happens. They pick the bedrooms for the kids, they move their furniture in. You've experienced it, you know what I'm talking about. And I knew I had my 3rd deal, and I am one excited human being. And then we go outside, suddenly Mr. and Mrs. Byer go to that corner of the yard, and they start talking. And this thing just, inside me, didn't feel good. You know, your intuition, it tells you when something is wrong. And finally, Mr. Byer walks over to me and he said, Mo, we are not going to buy this house through you. We're going to buy this house through Lillie May Tillman. Say that with me.
Lillie May Tillman.
Now say it like you think I probably said it.
Lillie May Tillman.
You're good. It's like you've had drama lessons. And I knew legally I could claim the sale because of the MLS rules way back in 1974. But I wasn't about to try to sell a house to someone who didn't want to buy it from me. And they explained that she was I knew who she was. She was a Century 21 agent. She had driven them around for 2 weeks. He said, she's bought us lunch, she's bought us dinner. The kids spilled ice cream in the back seat of her car. He looked at me with pain in his face and he said, we just can't do this to her. She is so nice and I just can't do this to her. We've got to buy it through her. And they drove away and I went home and I cried. And guys, understand, crying is a woman's prerogative. It's a great release. And that was really, really a low point because I had come so close. That evening at 7:30, the phone rang, and it was Mr. Byer. And he said, we have visited with Lillie May, and she said for us to do the right thing and buy the house from you. Wow. And by midnight, I had my 3rd deal. And that woman, she was elderly, she walked with a cane, she was gracious, she was kind. Everybody in the industry respected and admired her. She was very successful. I gave her flowers. I gave her a big referral fee. She refused to take it, but I made her take it. And what I learned from her, I learned the greatest business lesson in my entire life. And that is, when you do the right thing, you change the course of someone's life. Now, you may not know it. Lillie May wouldn't have known it if I hadn't told her. Instead of continuing with a master's degree, I stayed in real estate. I would not be here before you today if she hadn't done what she did, because I was getting out of the business. And she changed the course of my life. And it is my dream and my vision that you functioning as coaches will absolutely raise up a powerful, powerful army of agents who are committed to do the right thing. And that becomes more and more difficult as the outside culture around us becomes more and more and more corrupt. But you can do it. I'm 82. I don't know how many more years I have with you.
82.
But let me tell you, I'm handing you the banner. I'm handing you the torch. Raise up an army of people who get it and they're willing to change the course of a life by doing the right thing. And that modest, that humble, precious little woman who walked with a severe limp is in heaven. And there are almost 190,000 people who know who she